By far, this was the most impactful week of AI releases since December. Yeah, for more than a year, we haven't seen a week like this in AI. Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, all with huge drops, and it was wild, wilder than a Waffle House at 2 a.m. I mean, you have now Gemini 3, the most powerful model in the world by far. OpenAI snuck a model in that could end up being even more powerful, but didn't even release a blog post about it. Microsoft now has AI agents where people actually work, and probably the one that's getting the most buzz isn't any of those. It's Nano Banana Pro. So much happening in the world of AI this week. Like I said, we haven't had a week like this truly since December of 2024. So let's jump into it. Let's get straight to the AI news that matters. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Everyday AI. My name's Jordan Wilson, and well, we do this every day. It's your daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter helping everyday business leaders like you and me not just keep up with all the AI news, because it's a ton, but how we can make sense of it, cut the BS, and leverage it to grow our companies and our careers. So it starts here with the unedited, unscripted live stream podcast. But to take it to the next level, go to our website, youreverydayai.com. Sign up for the free daily newsletter. We're going to be recapping the AI news for today. And just real quick, before we go over the AI news for the week, that's what we do on Mondays. We bring you the AI news that matters. Quick little housekeeping announcement for this week. Here in the US, we have the Thanksgiving holiday. So the show and the newsletter will be off on Thursday and Friday. But Wednesday, going to be a banger show. You all wanted round 2, hands-on AI at work on Wednesdays with Gemini 3. So make sure to tune in for that. All right, let's get into the AI news that matters for the week of November 24th. And well, it starts with Gemini 3. So Google has officially released Gemini 3 after months of hype, its latest AI model, drawing widespread attention for its performance and new features. So Gemini 3 arrives just 8 months after the release of Gemini 2.5 Pro, which was already considered a leading multimodal AI model. Even though it was 8 months old, it was still pretty much the best AI model in the world, yet Google woke up and chose violence and released Gemini 3. So according to Google's benchmarks, it tops nearly every major benchmark, including the LM Arena, where users go and vote, as well as the more scientific benchmarks, GPQA Diamond, Math Arena, Apex, Arc AGI, and literally just about everything else. So the model is available pretty much everywhere, and literally everywhere you look, it's like, oh, Gemini 3 is here. So whether you're using the app, so gemini.google.com, or on the actual, mobile app, it's there. It's in AI Studio. It's in Vertex AI. It's in Google Search's new AI mode. Yeah, day that they released it in AI mode. And then there's also new platforms as well. So it's in their new anti-gravity, their kind of multi-agentic IDE, as well as their command line interface coder called Gemini CLI. So yeah, Gemini 3 just literally came out everywhere except NotebookLM, but I'm sure that's going to be happening soon. So a little bit more about Gemini 3 itself. It sets itself apart with best-in-class multimodal capabilities, its ability to handle text, images, video, audio, and code, and it notably excels at video understanding even without transcripts. So I'd say out of all the new capabilities, probably one of the more impressive ones, in my opinion, is its ability to just create great, number one, great code, but anything that code can create. You can go create video games. You can go create beautiful, stunning websites. I mean, it's literally insane what Gemini 3 is capable of on the coding end and on the visual end, because with the Gemini 3 Pro model is also tied to it, the Nano Banana Pro. So we're going to be getting to that later in the show. So a little bit more about what's new inside of Gemini 3. So the new model features a 1,000,000 token context window, allowing it to process and generate richer outputs from extensive and longer inputs from the user. There's also improved agentic research and tool use. Both of those have been enhanced, enabling Gemini 3 Pro to autonomously plan, code, and execute multi-step workflows with improved reliability and consistency. So Gemini 3 also brings new dynamic interactive dashboards and generative UIs. Yeah, so literally on the fly, Google might just create a dynamic view or a generative user interface for you to help explain something a little bit better. And that also shows up in Google's new improved AI mode in search. So yeah, if you toggle it on, and we went over that on Wednesday. So just if you haven't already, make sure you go listen to episode 657. So this was just hours after Gemini 3 came out. So we did do a pretty deep dive on Gemini 3 and 3 upgraded use cases. And one of those use cases, we showed the more dynamic AI mode in search. So a ton new on the Google Gemini 3 live stream audience. Let me know. Have you been using it? Are you liking it? What questions do you have? Are you still using GPT-5.1 or Claude Sonnet 4.5? What's your favorite model now? All right. Speaking of favorite models, on the image side, there's literally no comparison anymore. That's because Google rolled out Nano Banana Pro, the image generation and editing model that lives inside of Gemini 3 Pro, and it promises and delivers, my gosh, sharper text and images, richer styles, and more advanced scene and lighting control. So Nano Banana Pro is the image generation and editing model tied to Gemini 3 Pro, and it follows the earlier Gemini 2.5 Flash image model that was announced in August. So yeah, the naming is much better just calling it Nano Banana. So the original Nano Banana was Gemini 2.5 Flash image. Now with the new Gemini 3 Pro, it is Nano Banana Pro. So stylistically, Nano Banana Pro supports a wider variety of textures, fonts, and calligraphy, and it can produce flat vector style graphics and more expressive typography. You can also do just extremely creative takes, right, without even really using your brain. So as an example, you can do, change the camera angle on an image. Maybe you got a headshot and you're like, this isn't a flattering angle. Okay, well, you can upload it to Nano Banana Pro, change the angle, change the focus, the scene lighting, apply advanced color grading, so many things. Some other new capabilities, well, it can blend up to 14 images. Geez, right? Another quick example, I don't know if you're a global team and you're never able to get, some of your senior leadership together, well, you could just take all your individual headshots and throw them in a Nano Banana and create a team photo, and it will look literally realistic. It is hard to tell. It is scary good. Yeah, there's actually going to be, it's going to be used for a lot of bad things. I've already seen it in a very short period of time. Nano Banana has been out for like 4 days. Yeah, it's going to be used for a lot of bad things because it is that good, if that makes sense. You can't tell anymore that something is AI generated with Nano Banana Pro. I even think with Nano Banana, you kind of could, if you paid close enough attention. Nano Banana Pro, no, it looks so stinking real. So it is rolling out globally. I do believe that they've rolled it out to 100% of users in the Gemini app. Also, free users get a limited quota before falling back to the original Nano Banana. So yeah, if you are, as an example, going into Google Gemini and you want to use Nano Banana there, that's probably the easiest spot to use it. You can also use it in Google's AI Studio. Just make sure it's not properly labeled. You do have to choose Gemini when you go into Gemini and you click you can click the create image button, or you can just click thinking with 3 Pro. So if you're just chatting with Google Gemini and you want it to create an image, yeah, some people don't know this. You don't always even have to click the image button, but make sure that you choose the model thinking with 3 Pro, because if you use the now default model that says fast, that's actually going to be using the old Nano Banana. All right, so I did confirm that with the Google team, so just FYI. All right. Bring your friends because now you can all chat together with ChatGPT. So, OpenAI has now globally launched group chats for ChatGPT, allowing up to 20 people to collaborate with ChatGPT in a single conversation. ChatGPT group chats are now available globally after first being rolled out to a handful of countries, which did not include the US. So now it's available in the US and globally. So, like I said, the group feature supports up to 20 participants and keeps group conversations separate from private chats. So, personal ChatGPT memories do not leak into group spaces. So, yeah, that's important, right? One of the great things about large language models like ChatGPT is their ability to remember things across chat, intentionally saving little things about you as memory. So think of these group chats almost as like, in terms of yourself and your participation, it's almost like you're in an incognito or private chat. But within that chat window, ChatGPT will remember everything that goes on in there, whether there's 2 participants or 20 with ChatGPT. So group creators remained protected from being removed by other members unless they voluntarily leave. Different people, you can leave at different times. The thing that's important here, well, the AI remains mostly passive, which is really good to know because, yeah, if you have 20 people just chatting with each other, you don't obviously want ChatGPT to butt in except when it's needed. So that's the thing. ChatGPT just kind of watches the conversation and responds only when either explicitly tagged or when the context clearly calls for ChatGPT to intervene. ChatGPT can react with emojis, mention profile pictures, and even generate personalized images that include group members on request. So the underlying model is GPT-5.1 Auto, which is not good, just FYI. So I wouldn't be using this for any work tasks yet, although I do think this is, OpenAI, I know, have a few listeners there. You got to update this, right? And hats off because OpenAI has been taking a lot of feedback and saying that they're going to be rolling out some updates, but you have to allow for a model selector. I think this was kind of rolled out and promoted as kind of like a cutesy thing, right? The kind of demo that they did was, some people chatting, trying to find a Italian restaurant. It's like, okay, cool. Y'all, we have large language models that are smarter than people. Like, we don't want to be chatting and asking for recommendations for where to go eat. I think the great utility of this is working with your coworkers, but do not do it now because the GPT-5.1 Auto model is not good. So hopefully OpenAI will be rolling out the ability to select the model, especially when it's passive, right? If ChatGPT responded to every single chat in a group thread, you would want to use probably the auto or the instant so you don't have to wait, right? But hopefully OpenAI takes a little bit more of a business approach to this because the potential is actually really, really high with this one if they get it right. So continue. We'll be covering this when and if they release new updates. All right. Well, one of the biggest updates on the agent front this week was from Microsoft. Actually, 2 separate agent releases that we're going to be covering here. So first, they launched Agent 365 to manage AI agents across organizations. So this was announced at Ignite, their yearly conference from Microsoft, and it's a new service that centralizes the management, access, security, and visibility for AI agents across enterprises. So this gives organization a single registry and management plane for AI agents, starting with tenants in the Frontier preview who also hold at least one Microsoft 365 Copilot license. So yeah, you have to be part of the Frontier preview program and obviously have at least one Microsoft 365 Copilot license. So the new Agent 365 service provides a registry as a single source of truth for all agents within the organization, helping IT teams teams track which agents exist, who owns them, who's using them, and where they're even allowed to be accessed. So Agent 365 offers access control that limits each agent's permissions to only the resources required for its task, reducing risk from over-permissioned agents. There's also a new unified dashboard and advanced analytics that lets administrators visualize relationships between agents, administrate as well as the people and data, and monitor agent behavior and performance in real time. All right, next piece of AI news. Yeah, more agents from Microsoft. And these ones I think are probably going to get a little more use, although Agent 365, I think, is sorely needed, right? Because one of the biggest things holding Copilot back is permissions, security. No one can access anything, right? I think more than anything, there's a ton of promise with Microsoft and Copilot and all their agents, but everyone's like, yo, like I spend hours trying to figure out how to get access to anything within my organization, and I can't. Well, maybe now with the new launch, they can, because Microsoft is bringing agents to the chat, all right, the chat interface that most people use. So Microsoft rolled out dedicated Word, Excel, and PowerPoint agents inside Microsoft 365 Copilot. And the update makes it possible to create high-quality documents, spreadsheets, and presentations from the chat interface, and then move it seamlessly into desktop apps for deeper editing. So the biggest headline here is that users can now start projects in Copilot chat using natural language, chatting with these agents, and have dedicated agents generate full Office files, which then they can open and continue to edit inside Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. So Microsoft says the agents use multi-step reasoning models and an agentic harness to plan, draft, and validate and refine outputs across stages, producing structured results rather than just one-shot text. So files are created by headless real Office applications rather than just stitched together with XML, which Microsoft argues preserves styles, themes, formulas, and safety controls such as blocking macros and external links. There's also enterprise grounding that's available, which is extremely important, through Microsoft Graph and Work IQ. So agents can securely pull organizational context, such as emails and shared docs, with permission checks and transparent citations to improve relevance. So the PowerPoint agent and agent mode, which we covered a couple of months ago, actually now, wow. In the apps also let Copilot make direct edits and app-specific changes. So Microsoft highlights agent mode in PowerPoint as new to the Frontier program. Yeah, so finally, this is a capability I think that has users have been wanting. So many people just use Copilot inside of Copilot chat. Because, well, one of the reasons you're in Teams, and people like and are most familiar with using AI products or large language models in the chat interface, right? Like you're going to gemini.google.com or chatgpt.com or claude.ai, right? So front-end AI usage. So smart move from Microsoft bringing agents to the chat, but now we'll see if permissions are going to ever be figured out, or if you're still going to have millions of users just looking at all these Copilot announcements and being like, oh, this is cool, but we're never going to get access, even though we pay for Microsoft 365 Copilot. All right. Our next piece of AI news, interesting one. Didn't see this one coming. The EU has moved to kind of distance itself from its previous strict AI rules. So the European Commission unveiled a new digital omnibus, which is a package of proposals to simplify the much more strict AI Act. So, aiming to reduce regulatory friction and speed innovation of AI in the European Union. So, the single biggest change, according to reports, is enforcement timelines for stricter AI controls in sensitive high risk areas are proposed to move from August 2026. So, yeah, this was supposed to be around the corner. Instead, they're going to be potentially kicking it back more than a year from that to December 2027. And this would affect biometric ID, utilities, health, credit scoring, and law enforcement uses. So the Commission wants clearer rules on when data stops being personal, a shift that would make it easier for companies to treat anonymized or de identified EU data as usable for AI training. Yeah, this is one of those reasons a lot of times. Right. I think you saw it a lot with ChatGPT when they had more personalized, right? I remember with advanced voice mode, it couldn't be released in Europe for many months, and they still had to strip away features. The same things with a lot of Microsoft products, Google products, etc. The more and more personalized AI becomes, actually, the more difficult or the harder it is to actually use that in the European Union because of the AI Act that was passed last year. But like we just said here with the new digital omnibus, some of these things could get kicked more than 13 months. So a lot of, kind of AI implementations or, new products were kind of dead on arrival in the EU. But maybe that could change with this easing of the restriction. So, if adopted, the changes would explicitly enable companies such as Google, Meta, and OpenAI to use more Europeans' personal data for training AI models, a move obviously welcomed by big tech companies and industrial firms, but condemned by privacy advocates. So, privacy groups and 127 civil organizations have called the package the quote, the biggest rollback of digital fundamental rights in EU history, arguing it weakens protections and hands more intimate data to major tech companies. So, I've been saying this for multiple years now, ever since the EU's AI Act was just an idea, right? It's obviously been passed, and parts of it have been enacted, and some of the bigger pieces were right around the corner. I said this all along. I said essentially, EU has two options. They are either going to fall so far behind the rest of the world, specifically the US and China, or they're going to eventually realize that the EU AI Act was probably a little too strict, and they would have to start rolling it back, kind of peel by peel. So here we see the latter. The European Union is seemingly admitting, yeah, maybe we were a little too robust with the AI Act, and so we'll see what happens in the coming months. Next piece of AI news. Geez, this one probably hit OpenAI in the gut. So Microsoft and NVIDIA, two bigger partners of OpenAI, announced a joint investment in Anthropic. So Microsoft and NVIDIA announced major investments in Anthropic, a move that reduces Microsoft's sole dependence on OpenAI and also widens industry competition. So Microsoft will invest up to $5 billion in Anthropic, and NVIDIA will invest up to $10 billion. So the new investments push Anthropic's valuation to about $350 billion, up from roughly $183 billion in September. So yeah, not quite doubling their valuation, but nearly doubling their valuation in a 2-month period, right? And getting up to roughly about the last valuation that we saw for OpenAI. So Anthropic has also committed to buying $30 billion of Azure compute capacity from Microsoft, and has contracted additional compute up to a gigawatt, the company said in a blog post. So yeah, this is only going to fuel more of the AI bubble talk and circular funding. So, obviously Anthropic got a check, right? I don't know. I know they don't get checks, but we should still go old school, right? They should, give Dario a $5 billion giant check. But what would happen is, well, Dario would have to, write a big multi-billion dollar check back to Microsoft for the Azure compute capacity. So, yeah, this is, if nothing else, this is just going to set off more of the alarms. The vendor financing or circular funding talks that have been really rattling the US economy and the stock market over the last couple of months, following OpenAI kind of coming with a lot of these similar deals, even with NVIDIA. So, NVIDIA and Anthropic will collaborate on engineering and model optimization to improve performance and efficiency and to tune NVIDIA architectures for Anthropic's workload. So this one is, I think, probably most interesting to look at Microsoft's position here because Microsoft already holds a sizable stake in OpenAI, valued at about 135 billion or roughly 27% as a converted diluted basis. So essentially, right now, Microsoft is the single biggest, sorry, the single largest individual shareholder in equity holder in OpenAI. Yeah, no one else has more than 26% except Microsoft, which holds 27% of the new for-profit corporation that OpenAI finalized earlier this fall. So here's my take on this. Not a good week overall for OpenAI. Right. So not only does Google release Gemini 3, which is extremely powerful, and a lot of the chatter online are now saying, like, hey, Gemini 3 seems like a daily driver model, right? A lot of companies, even Salesforce's CEO said, hey, I've been using ChatGPT daily for 2 years. I just went into Gemini and wow, I'm switching. I think a lot of, we're seeing a lot of those stories anecdotally. We'll see if it moves the numbers, if anyone can catch OpenAI's reported 800 million weekly active users. But overall, this is another news story, not very good for OpenAI because you have OpenAI, two of their bigger partners in Microsoft and NVIDIA signing on to, well, fund their biggest, probably one of their two biggest competitors. I'd say they're competing in a lot of different ways with Google, but specifically on the model side with Anthropic. But it wasn't all bad news for OpenAI. All right. Our next AI news story, aside from OpenAI releasing the group chats, there was another big story that, interestingly, OpenAI didn't even really promote this, which was funny to me. So, OpenAI rolled out technically their most powerful model to date called GPT-5.1 Pro. Right now, it's only released to subscribers on the Pro tier, the $200 a month subscription. And it has some new reasoning capabilities as well. Also, it is going to replace the GPT-5 Pro model as the default Pro model over the next 90 days, at least according to OpenAI's release notes. So yeah, OpenAI didn't even put out a blog post on GPT-5.1 Pro, which I found interesting. So the rollout is significant, though, because GPT-5.1 Pro introduces a new adaptive reasoning, which lets the model decide when to spend more computational time on a prompt, giving simple queries faster replies and complex tasks deeper, more accurate reasoning. So essentially, it reasons about reasoning, or it thinks about how much it should think. So OpenAI highlights improved performance in writing assistance, data science, and business tasks, with the company and early reports noting better consistency, instruction following, and reduced hallucination compared with GPT-5. So the company has not yet published really anything, but especially nothing on the technical spec side for GPT-5.1 Pro. But the public notes emphasize better clarity, relevance, and response structure. So I'll tell you this. I can speak a lot personally because I am always using the Pro model, and I'm on the Pro plan as well. I've been using GPT 5.1 Pro. I haven't been able to use it a ton just because, like we said, it's been literally a wild week in AI, but it is extremely impressive. And I'll say this, um, I would not be surprised when and if GPT 5.1 Pro gets benchmarked, because it hasn't been benchmarked yet because they haven't released API access. You can only access it on the Pro model. I would assume it's going to, on most benchmarks, it's going to be up there with Gemini 3, or it maybe even might leapfrog Gemini 3. The Pro versions of OpenAI's models are ridiculously good. Another thing to keep in mind, y'all, you really should be using these models. Well, if you really want to understand the capabilities, you should be using them either on the API side or on at least on the playground side, right? Because as an example, Gemini 3 is way better inside of AI Studio than it is inside of Gemini, the app, right? Technically, Gemini 3 is wrapped in, the model is wrapped inside the Gemini app. It is much more powerful in AI Studio. I'm using AI Studio anytime I'm just working with text only. For me personally, I'm always in AI Studio. If I want Nano Banana or Canvas, right, then I'm probably using the Gemini app or, Gemini 3 in the Gemini app. But GPT 5.1 Pro, it is so good, right? We shared in our newsletter, there's been some, apparently some math problems that were solved that couldn't have been solved before, some new theories that were validated by scientists that had never technically existed before. So this model is really good, but this isn't a model you're going to be like, yo, like, I don't know, here's a spreadsheet, tell me something good, right? Which is a lot of times my use cases, but just the agentic capabilities and the ability for GPT 5.1 Pro to think about thinking. And again, the difference between 5 and 5 Pro, night and day, right? The 5.1 thinking models are really good. I enjoy them aside from the obnoxiously annoying tone and responses that are baked into 5.1. I know you can, custom instruction them out. It's just really responses are annoying. Aside from that, the 5.1 thinking models are really good. And the 5.1 Pro model is great. Again, for me, I don't even really, I think, have the type of use cases that I can even say, hey, here's a great example of 5.1 Pro. Aside from just showing off some agentic capabilities, the ability to work on very complex tasks, do reasoning, do research, pull multiple, tool calls together, etc. But GPT 5.1 Pro, a model to keep an eye out on, especially when and if it's released in the API and gets benchmarked. Last but not least, you all know I saved the best for last. I'm telling you, what's gotten the most talk? It's not ChatGPT group chats. It's not GPT 5.1, which again, OpenAI didn't even put out a blog post. It's not even Gemini 3. The most talked about thing in AI this week by far is Nano Banana Pro. All right. And let me first, before I give you all the newsy details here, let me tell you this. Stop. Like, I've seen so many comments, even, people, I put out a poll in our newsletter last week asking people what they wanted to know about. People said, I don't care about Nano Banana Pro, right? My company doesn't do visuals, or I'm not a graphic designer. You guys, Nano Banana Pro is mind-bogglingly good, right? Even if you aren't maybe publicizing something, the use cases are tremendous. They have me speechless. They are that good, especially when you pair them with NotebookLM. All right, so that is our final news story, kind of the combination here of Nano Banana Pro and NotebookLM, the two of them together. My brain, my gosh. So Google's NotebookLM now integrates the Nano Banana Pro image model to generate infographics and slide decks directly from whatever notes that you have inside of NotebookLM. So NotebookLM is officially using the more powerful Nano Banana Pro to produce infographics and slide decks that aim to render accurate, grounded information and readable text inside images, improving the notebook to presentation workflow. So you can now design complex publication-ready visuals without leaving the NotebookLM interface, turning your research notes or whatever you load into NotebookLM into polished arguments with minimal manual layout work. Nano Banana Pro also keeps character consistency and coherence across wildly different styles. The infographic feature is absolutely, oh gosh, I was trying not to say absolutely bananas. It's just absolutely jaw-droppingly good. The infographics are great, much better than what we saw out of Nano Banana normal. And one of the biggest, I think, jumps here is just the text consistency, right? For some of my testing, I just would throw entire podcast transcripts and say, create an infographic, create a whiteboard visualization, right? Create, a series of, six, breakaway points and visualize them. The text, I haven't gotten a single piece of text wrong yet, which with Nano Banana, the original, I would say, I don't know, 20 to 30% of the text, maybe not that high, maybe 10% of the text wasn't even usable, right? Nano Banana Pro is amazingly accurate when it comes to using your text, right? So now that makes these new features inside NotebookLM, specifically infographic production and slide deck creation. My gosh, right? We already saw this out of Gemini, and we covered that about 2 weeks ago. So Gemini released a new slide feature. So I'm going to be retesting that, and seeing if that has improved at all and if it has the Nano Banana features in it. But you can now create these slide decks inside NotebookLM using Nano Banana, and they are extremely well done, right? And it's not all, cutesy, artsy. No, I'm talking like very professional looking, something like, oh, I paid a consultancy to put all this information together. That's what they look like. All right. So enough of me gushing on Nano Banana inside of NotebookLM. Just know it's there. It's good. So some more details. Infographic outputs are suitable for really anything, but using them for featured images in your blog, YouTube thumbnails, quick visual summaries that reduce manual design work for creators and communicators. Also, slide generation creates multi-page slide decks that right now you can only export as PDF. Unfortunately, you can't export them as, for Canva or PowerPoint slides yet. But it does have the ability to export as a PDF. And you can also have presenter slides in there as well. So both features are intended to streamline workflows by replacing part of the repetitive slide and graphic design tasks normally handled by humans, well, with AI and Nano Banana Pro. All right. That was a ton, like I said, a wild week in AI, but that's not all. Here's our quick bullet points of what's new and what's next. And y'all, in previous weeks, a lot of these stories might have been the biggest story of the week, but not this week. All right, ready? So OpenAI and Foxconn announced an AI partnership. So the Apple hardware supplier, that one will be interesting to watch. The new Gemini 3 agent launched, with advanced reasoning and Gmail calendar web access. I can't wait to try that. That's only available right now for Ultra subscribers, unfortunately. And a report from The Information showed that Sam Altman told staff that Google's AI surge is a headwind, not a knockout, but reportedly it was enough that OpenAI and Sam Altman had to address. Yeah, Google is really good. Nano Banana Pro. Yeah, more Nano Banana Pro updates here. It's available everywhere. It is now live in Flow for AI Ultra users. It's also been added to Nano Banana Pro, has been added to Google Search's AI mode. And it's also, here's a big one, integrated into Google Ads. My gosh, it's everywhere. All right. Speaking of other releases, well, XAI released Grok 4.1. Perplexity launched some new updates to their Comet browser, mainly by making it available for Android, so the mobile version. Poe, which we don't talk about a lot on this show, but I thought it's worth noting that they introduced group chat as well with real time history syncing. Google has reportedly been testing ads in the AI search, so in the AI mode. Perplexity is reportedly building a meetings hub, which combines all your call notes, schedules, and summaries. Google rolled out their Gemini agent, like I said, for Ultra subscribers. Had that on there twice, maybe to remind myself that I should review it. AI legend Jan LeCun from Meta is reportedly leaving Meta for a new startup, one of the godfathers of AI. Cloudflare acquired Replicate, merging the biggest AI model catalog with their global network. Warner struck a deal with the AI music company Udio. Speaking of AI music, Suno raised $250 million at a $2.4 billion valuation. Former board member Larry Summers quit the OpenAI board amid scrutiny over the Jeffrey Epstein email revelations. Perplexity partnered with the federal government to provide Enterprise Pro access for free. And then Google released Anti-Gravity, their multi-agent IDE. My gosh, a ton happening in the world of AI news. All right, I hope this is helpful. Like I said, we do this almost every single Monday, go over all of the most important AI news, try to give you no BS, no marketing, no fluff, no spin, just tell you here's what's new, here's what it means, and here's where you should be focused on. All right, I hope this was helpful. If so, tell someone about it. All right, don't let this be your little secret. The only thing this everyday AI thing lives on, right? Making AI understandable for non-technical business leaders like you and me is if you tell someone about it. So please, if you're listening on LinkedIn, still listening, thanks. Make sure to repost this. If you're on the podcast, please make sure to subscribe to the show. Leave us a rating. That would be great. Again, Wednesday, we're going hands-on AI at work on Wednesdays with Gemini 3. And then because of the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday here in the US, there will be no show or no newsletter on Thursday or Friday. So thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you back tomorrow and every day for more everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.